Hello everyone and welcome to Werven's World and welcome to my additions to the introduction of the Riftborn. So Riftborn was a faction that I did an introduction for when the game was still in beta, and now that the game has released, this faction has seen a lot of changes actually. So I thought I would make a video kind of detailing these changes so you know what to believe and what not to believe from my previous video, and I will also explain some extra things that are new to the race. In beta, the Riftborn had Constructionist 2 as an empire trait, which gave us 20% extra empire-wide industry. We don't have that anymore, so we took quite a bit big of a hit in the industry department. Now we have Remnant Citizens. We used to have Epistis, and Epistis give you extra food. However, now we have the Remnants, and they don't give you extra food, they give you extra industry, and they give you extra money on Happy. So we are not producing any food at the beginning, so watch out for that, because as you can see here, my food at the moment is negative, and that means that I will be losing population because of that. We also lost Rational Minds 1, which gave us plus 10% science on systems, so we also took a hit in the science department. We still have Wary Travelers though, so we still get -1 movement point on our ships, which means we cannot explore as fast as other races. And we still have Biophobic. However, Biophobic changed a little bit. It used to be that you would get -5 per fertile planet on your happiness. Now we get -10 on our happiness hit if we have fertile planets. But we also get +20 happiness when we're on sterile planets. So we really want to look out for those sterile planets in order to raise our happiness. Another change is that we used to start off with Plasma Metallurgy and Xenolinguistics, and now we start off with Plasma Metallurgy and Xenobiology. So the change is that we don't have Xenolinguistics anymore. This normally immediately gives us titanium because you do start off with a planet that has titanium and Hyperion. So we still immediately exploit the Hyperion, but not the titanium anymore. Instead we got this one here, Xenobiology, that gives us a building for science, and it allows us to colonize Snow, which is the planet that we start on. Not immediately having access to titanium will delay your compression Singularity a bit, because that one costs titanium, and normally after 5 turns of building up your titanium you could immediately build this, but now you first have to research that technology and then build up your titanium, and then you can build the compression Singularity. Colonization works a little bit different with the Riftborn. Normally you want to colonize a planet that has quite some food, because that means that your colony will be done sooner, because the outpost needs 300 food in order to become a colony, and the planet's amount of food helps with that. With the Riftborn you want to take a planet that has a lot of production. I got quite lucky here, there's a lot of production on this one, so if I colonize this, you can see here that it only takes me 10 turns to colonize, and that's because I get 30 production, so 30 times 10 is 300, so you still need 300, but this time you need production instead of food. Then your options are also a little bit different, so this one here gives you plus 100% production on system. Normally you would pay gold for this or dust and it would increase the food by 100%, but with the Riftborn you will spend 10 titanium and then you get 100% production. This one will just give 25 production on the system, so if there's not a lot of production on it, then you might want to go for this one. But here, for example, I have 30, so if I do this one, I get 30 extra instead of 25 extra. So then this one would be more economical to use. Of course, I could also just use them both. The fact that we don't use food also means that other planets, so for example here, this system will not be sending any ships towards here. And that's because normally they would send ships with food in order to help it grow quicker, but I guess you cannot send any production. So as you can see, normally there would be a menu here where you can choose which planets should send ships with food and all that kind of stuff. But that doesn't happen with the Riftborn, you're kind of on your own here. Singularities have remained mostly the same, but there has been a very interesting change. The compression and the dilation singularity now also affect depletion points, but in a very cool way, because normally the dilation singularity is the one that you would cast on enemies, like it would reduce their amount of production, it would reduce the amount of experience the heroes get and so on. But this now also reduces the amount of depletion points on a planet. So basically depletion points are things of the cravers, so the more cravers on a planet, the quicker a planet is depleted, and once it's depleted it will make less production. However, if you put this on there, even though they will make 25% less production, they will also deplete their planet less fast. So if you have the compression one, then you actually increase the amount of depletion points on the planet, so then the planet will be depleted quicker. Another change that happened is with the default Singularity. You might remember from my previous video that it was bugged. The movement points were not being automatically refilled. That seems to have been fixed. So for example, here I have an exploration ship, 8 movement points. Here I cast a default Singularity, so let's move there. So now it's losing its movement points. And when it arrives, it immediately refills them back. So this has been fixed. Technology-wise, the Riftborn have changed a lot. So let's go into the changes. If we look at the Empire development tree first, you can see here that we have personal singularities, which gives Tower of Temporal Paradox. This gives us a +1 bonus to dust. And this bonus goes up every turn. So at turn 2 it will be +2, at turn 3 it will be +3, and so on. So this is not a unique improvement, so you can build this on every system you own in order to increase your dust income by quite a bit. Then of course we have all the unique ship hulls that we have, just like every other race. But then it starts getting interesting. The entire colonization tree has been overhauled. So for example, here are all normally the easy planets. So this one here is Atoll, and then here we have Monsoon and Terran and Ocean. So these are normally not there, so this has been completely overhauled, and I guess that's because the Riftborn don't like fertile planets at all. So all these things that have life on them, like the Ocean and the Atoll, and what did we have? Terran and Monsoon, and what is this one? Forest. They don't like that, so we actually need to research on how to live there. So that makes it very different, and also not all planets are on here. For example, things like lava you will not find in this tree, and unfortunately it's also mentioned nowhere. That would be nice if they would mention it somewhere, but basically if you look here, from the beginning of the game without researching any technologies, I can immediately go to lava. I can also immediately go, for example, to desert planets. So let's say all the sterile kind of planets. I mean, they don't necessarily have to be sterile, but if you think about it, like planets where nothing would really live, like on lava planets and desert planets and stuff like that, that's where the Riftborn can go. Then they can research, for example, Arid immediately, while normally Arid would be here. So make sure to look through this and see where all these technologies are, because yeah, they are completely different from other races. And then we also have some other unique things. So first of all, we have this one here that gives +5 on planets, which is normal, but it also gives +5 on sterile for us. Then we have this one here. Normally this gives 20% repair after battle and 15 during battle. For us it's 25 and 20. This one here is still the same. Then we can go to this one here. It has the Riftborn icon, however nothing is different except that this one is colonized lava, not colonized Terran. But other of these planet things get this Continuum Sculptor's affinity and not the Riftborn affinity, so I'm not entirely sure why this icon is there. Anyway, then we go to this one here, Multi-Thread Management. This normally gives +25 dust per system level and +3 dust per population. Now it gives us +5 per original Empire population, so basically it gives +5 dust per Riftborn you have, but 0 dust for other empires you have on your planets. We start off as a republic, which is quite nice, because this gives our laws better effect. So that means our Toys for Boys is more efficient, and this is quite good because we start as Riftborn on Vanguard, a planet that gives us a happiness hit. So normally, if we wouldn't be in a republic, this happiness boost would not raise us to happy, so then we wouldn't get the increase in production and dust and stuff like that. But with the +30 we do get it. Also our dust windfall will give us a little bit extra dust than it normally would. Our population bonuses are also quite nice. If we have 10, we just get more industrialist opinion, which is fine. But then we have 20 and we get +15% on systems with Riftborn. And then at 50, we can do wormhole travel with only half of our ship's movement points. Because normally if you go through a wormhole, it consumes everything. But for us, it would only consume half of our movement points. And then we get +1 points on ships as well. So these population bonuses are quite nice. So these were my additions to the introduction of the Riftborn, so I hope it was useful and see you next time.